Hello, hi everybody. My name is Sean Azimi, and I am excited to go live with you and share a little bit about my story with you today. Actually, I'm pretty scared to be honest with you, but we'll go ahead and go with the excited more than the scare part. Today is International Stuttering Awareness Day. And a lot of you have been appreciating my posts every day on the national days. But today, since it's International Stuttering Awareness Day, it kind of hits home with me because I actually stutter and I've stuttered for a long time. As you go on live here, let me know, say hello, let's do a shout out thing. As you watch the replay, I'd love for you to let me know that you actually watched this and got a kick out of it. Of course, I'm wearing my Rocky shirt on a day like this, and I got my Rocky poster in the background. So I thought I come live and share a little bit personal story with you. This one hits home, and I'm going to be a little bit more transparent, if you would, today. So I noticed I stutter, or I didn't know actually stuttering. I noticed that I don't speak like everybody else speaks right around the age of 6. I can actually remember the night, and the next day when I woke up, I remember that I felt there's a change in my speech, right? But nonetheless, I kept with it. About a year or two passes by that, it got a little worse, and my parents decided we were going to go see a therapist. We went and saw a therapist. I remember I was maybe seven and a half, and he said, yeah, your son stutters, and it may get worse, it may go away. I don't really remember the whole conversation with the therapist, to be honest with you. But what I do remember is when I came to US, I was about 13 and a half, 14 years old, and I could hardly speak a word. I actually would have to grasp for air. I don't know if you ever seen people like that. I was grasping for air. I had a lot of facial gestures. I couldn't get a word out. And I remember I was in high school. I was probably right around 15 and a half, 16-ish, somewhere around there, maybe my sophomore year, I think it was. I was in my ESL class, my English class, and I remember after class, my teacher, Mrs. Brown, calls me over right after the class and says, hey, Shervin, back then I didn't go with Sean. My real name is Shervin, so look that up. So she goes, hey, you have speech impediments, you stutter. I don't know exactly how she worded it, but I couldn't understand what the heck she was talking about. So I had to actually look it up back then with a dictionary, and I'm like, oh yeah. So I do. And she said, I really would like you to see a counselor and maybe get some help. Are you open to that? And I said, yeah. I didn't really understand what was going on, to be truthful. I really didn't know what I had, or what was going on, or what was the cause, or what I could do with it, or whatnot. So either way, I decided to go on with a counselor, saw the counselor, and she referred me to school speech therapist, right? Mrs. Tedesco. Never forget her. I owe so much to her. So anyway, that first evaluation, then it kept kind of going and going, and it came to the time to do the school, like the science project that you're supposed to do. I don't know if kids do it these days or not, but I had to. So I got my trifold board, and I had stuff on it, and I decided to do it on the causes and effects and possible treatments for stuttering. Now, mind you, my English wasn't that great. Some would say probably not that great right now, but it wasn't that great. And, I had just been here for like, I don't know, 2-3 years in US. So I put so much time into it. I actually interviewed and got to speak with 18 different stutterers and, got some feedback from them. I was so excited. And a couple days before the presentation, for me to show it to class or show it off, if you would, I came down with chicken pox, like so bad, like I couldn't get out of bed. So I couldn't do the presentation. A friend of mine from high school, he actually took my board and showed it to the teacher. She just like, hey, he did the project. But yeah, I didn't. I wasn't able to show it myself. So either way, a week goes by, and I think a couple people from each category got picked to go on to the district for competition there, and then on to the county, right? I was so bummed that I was so bummed. I worked so hard on that thing. So when it got to the district, I remember my teacher coming up to me and say, hey, there was a gal that got picked from our school, and I think she got disqualified, or I don't know what happened, but she can't go to the district, and I would really love for you to go. I said, oh my God, I was so excited. I'm like, yes, I will go. So I come home excited. I tell my parents, and I get zero like love from them. They're like, dude, you gotta let this thing go. It's gonna just go away, whatnot. And I said I was kind of really disappointed. But either way, I went to the district. I then got picked and went to the county, and I got third place in Orange County Science and Engineering Fair. I remember this day, so I was so super pumped. Come home, I tell my parents, and I still get no love, and they're like actually disappointed. They're like, what are you doing? Like, you're emphasizing too much on this thing. And I'm like, dude, I just want to get an understanding of what the heck is going on. Obviously, going back to Mrs. Tedesco, and she was like so excited, so proud of me. It was amazing. We were talking, and back then there was this magazine or article or magazine really. Or a newsletter, if you would, and it was called Letting Go. I remember this so vividly, right? Am I still going live? Okay, so I think so. So I remember this so vividly, right? That I was reading this article, back then, 15, 16-ish, something like that. I remember this 41-year-old wrote this article for 3 pages long, how his life has been affected by the fact that he stutters. He hasn't been able to land a job that he wanted. He hasn't been able to have a wife that he wanted, and he didn't have the whole life that he dreamed of having because of stuttering, because of the society, the pressure, the parents, the family, the friends. And he was just going on and for 3 pages how bad everything was. And I remember reading that, and I was so pissed off. I'm like, dude, I do not want to be 41. And looking back and saying, this thing blocked me from everything that I really want. I remember that. So I was just so ticked off, and I started like writing, and I wrote pages, like, I don't know, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages long of a response, if you would, right? And with the help of Mrs. Tedesco, I actually mailed it to the newsletter, which it didn't get published, but the point is I was really ticked off, so I started writing and responding, right? So after high school, I went on to college, and obviously Mrs. Tedesco couldn't help me anymore. I wanted to seek some help and speech therapist there, but it wasn't offered in college, so I had to do private sessions, right? So For 6 years, I busted my butt. I literally mopped floors, I waited tables, I washed dishes without my parents knowing about it. If they find out about this live, they would. So I did everything I could to be able to put the funds together to actually go to therapy to help with my speech, right? So I want to fast forward to a few years down the line. I was always in retail business, face to face. I have a better shot at communicating with less stuttering. I still stutter, but obviously a lot less. So I was, I think it was 2001-ish. Something had hit and I was out of a job, and I think I looked for a job for like 7-8 months. I had a chip on my shoulder, like I was the best in retail and whatnot, and I couldn't land a job. One day I was at, it was a Sunday night, I went to my friend's house, and this is when like the mortgage industry was getting hot, right? People were like, I remember people who had a pulse with a burp in a cup and make like 10 grand a month, right? But I always avoided it. Anyway, it was Sunday night. It was like, I think it was like July 2001 or 2. And I was at my friend's house, Matt's house, and he's all like, hey dude, I got a job. And I'm like, oh my God. He goes, are you looking for a job? I'm like, oh dude, I am so looking for a job. What did you get? And he goes, oh, this mortgage company. I'm like, oh, what a disappointment, dude. I do not want to get into mortgages. And he goes, why not? Everybody's getting into them. I said, you know what? Because I can't talk on the phone, because my stuttering is so much worse when I get on the phone. It's like 20 times worse, right? And he goes, no, dude, this company's they're different. They wrote an article about us. I remember he brings out this OC Metro newsletter, right? And there's the article in there that says top 10 companies to work for in Orange County. First one was Bubba Gump Shrimp restaurant, right? And the second one was Home Loan Center. And I remember reading that article. I'm like, dude, this company is the real deal. So I actually still have that article, which is interesting. That article changed my whole life course, if you would. So anyway, I suited up, I booted up the next day. I go there. Long story longer, I get a job there as a junior loan officer because I had no experience. And I remember, and some of the people who are going to watch this live were with me in that first training class, which is interesting. And everybody knows when the phone rang, because it was incoming calls, when the phone rang, I had to pick up the phone and say, thank you for calling Home Loan Center. This is Sean Azimi, how can I help you? Well, I would stutter on Home Loan Center like that, right? And I literally, when the phone would ring, I would have sweat drops down on my forehead, and I would get teary-eyed, and I would just like stare at the phone for a couple of rings before picking it up. And I've had so many people like cuss me out and say, dude, you can't even say, do you know even where you work? You don't know the name of the company, So I've gotten a lot of beating over the phone, if you would. But I remember I went through, I got promoted, I got into what's called the subprime division, and I was in the mortgage industry for 10, 11, 12 years, and ended up making a lot of cash and doing big things. And my stuttering never really went away. I just learned how to kind of deal with it, right? Just a little bit about my background in stuttering, but one of the major things people talk about is like getting to like speak in public, or like get on a stage in front of one person, two people, like 1,000 people. It's like they compare it to like dying to death, like climbing into like a coffin or a casket and death and public speaking. one of my major goals in life is to be a public speaker, and the reason for that is because I feel like that's the ultimate thing for me to overcome. Hi Ziba. That's I feel like that's the ultimate thing for me to overcome. If I can, there's no if, but when I get on the stage and actually speak in front of thousands and having the background that I've had, right? It's just a huge accomplishment. And I've seen TED Talks where there are folks that stutter and are on the stage speaking and having a hard time. And I've seen people even in network marketing that have stuttered and been on the stage and talking. So that's one of the major goals I have. So I'll leave you with this, and isn't it weird that this is such a trip, because I was thinking of all this stuff that I was gonna say today, and I didn't even take notes or prepare because I just wanted to go. But the topic that I'm talking about stuttering, and I've stuttered so much less about talking about stuttering in this live than I have in all my other lives, which is like a trip. But I'll leave you with this. It's a real deal, man. People who stutter, it's a real deal. It's really tough for them. So I would say be patient, be kind with them. Don't finish their sentences. And it's not, and if you know somebody who stutters and you ask them a question and you go like, so how's your day like? And then you're like, kind of giving them that look like, oh, it's gonna come at you right now, dude. That's like the worst thing you can do to somebody who stutters. Like, you gotta hey Mayor, you gotta be authentic with people, and you gotta not finish their sentences. You gotta not anticipate their stuttering, right? You gotta not slap it in their face, if you would. So if you have somebody who stutters, care for him. It comes with it. You know what? The background, the research is really deep on the causes and the reasons and all that good stuff. But there's a lot more involved. I ask you to be patient with them, not finish their sentences, and if it's the two of you side to side and somebody asks them a question, don't jump in and answer for them. That's like the worst slap in the face. Like, do not do that. That's horrible. And if it's somebody that if it's your child or somebody that you care about, and you notice something at an early age, I highly recommend you seek help. Just be there and be authentic for them. So just a little bit about my story, a little transparency. If you know somebody who stutters and is in this community, them, I would totally share this live with them, because I know it would hit home. And if you haven't seen the movie, The King's Speech, oh my God, dude, you gotta see that movie. That movie is the real deal. You gotta see the movie. And, we're not alone. There's so many famous people that you wouldn't even think, and they have stuttered through their whole life and careers, and they've become who they are. Like Charlie Sheen, for example, Marilyn Monroe, Winston Churchill, Joe Biden. I can go on and on and on. But there's so many people who have actually stuttered, and you like them, Brad? Hey. So I appreciate you coming in, joining, hearing me out, listening to my little story here. And remember, sharing is caring. So if you care about someone, do go ahead and share. Give me some love. Until the next time, I'll see ya.